Hi everyone and welcome back to another Festive Fridays, and for today I'm going for a 1 kit 10 cards video where I will be using the December card kit by SSS December. If you do have the kit already, I hope you will find some inspiration in this video. If you don't have it already, keep in mind that this is already sold out. However, you can get separately the products that I will be using from this kit, and you will find down below links to all the products separately. So let's start as always showing you what it is included in the card kit, and first of all you will find a pack of all those layered frames. These are absolutely adorable, of course from Team Holtz, and they even have some stitching. It is cardboard and I will be using this product for my 10 cards today. Then you will get a sticker book. This is full of stickers, lovely sayings for the Christmas season, and I will be using that as well. Then you will also find a glue stick as well as some pearls for decorating your projects, a 3D folder that is perfect for the season. You will find beautiful ornaments that you can emboss on your cardstock. And don't throw away the packaging. I always use it to create my window cards and I will be using that as well. Then a couple of envelopes. There is also a die that gives you the outline as well as the actual words, holiday cheer, and I will be using that on today's video. Then you do get these pattern papers, front and back as you can see, with beautiful designs. This is by Simple Stories and you will find the link to this paper pad down below. Then this is the stamp set, beautiful sayings. I absolutely love the different fonts as well as the snowflakes and the Christmas tree. This is a specialty cardstock. It is really stunning in real life. And then 3 different colors of cardstock. So let's start with our 10 cards for today, and as always all of them are going to be really simple, making sure that I use products only from the kit. And if you know me by now, you know that I will be focusing definitely on the pattern papers. So these are the 2 pages that are perfect to create, to turn into cards. All you have to do is just cut them in 4s and you will end up with 8 different rectangles that you can use as your card front. I'm going to show you a few ideas on how you can use those, and you can recreate the same designs with the rest of the cutouts. Now I'm also going to use this pattern paper that has a very solid green background on one side and then a very busy one on the other side, and I'm just going to cut it out in half and then in half again. So we'll put together my first card using those rectangle pieces that I have already cut out. I'm starting with the dark green card base, and this is actually 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and just a simple single panel that I am later going to stick on top of a pre-folded card. I usually work on panels like this and then stick them on white card bases so that I can easily write my message inside. So what I did was ink up the edges with my coffee dye ink just to darken them up a little bit, and then from the stamp set that is included in the kit, I'm going to pick a couple of phrases and just stab them randomly at the background. This is going to give kind of a very subtle visual texture at the background, and you can definitely make it look stronger if you like you can go with a black ink, or even you can emboss and white emboss or gold emboss the detail there. I just wanted a subtle look, so I'm going with brown. Now when the card design is very simple like I'm going for today, it is always nice to add some visual texture on the background just to make it look more interesting, and at the same time if you give that mixed media look and feel to it, you can add splatters at the top. You kind of cover up areas where they are kind of blank or they have nothing interesting there. So again, I'm using my blending brush and the same coffee dye ink, and I'm going to ink up the edges. I'm also going to rough the edges to give that extra texture with my scissors, and then I'm just going to layer one on top of the other on an angle, and of course I am using foam tape at the back, so I do add a little bit of dimension. Now these two are going to lay flat on top of my panel, but of course you can use foam tape here as well if you want to have a second layer of dimension. Now from the sticker booklet I'm going to pick some of the sayings, and I went with Joyful Christmas, and then I will pick a third one to add on the bottom cluster that says Covered with Snow. Now if you like, you can definitely use a black marker and just outline those stickers. I like this look because I am into mixed media a lot, but you can definitely leave them as they are. I also added some white splatters, And here is a close-up photo on the first card for today. And in these 10 cards today, I will make sure that I will use as much of that pattern paper that I got as I can. Now let's make another easy card. Again, I'm using just one of those rectangles that I cut out from that pattern paper, and I'm going to combine that with one of the sticker quotes. I did use foam tape at the back to add some dimension, and then I will do the same thing for the sticker quote as well. This isn't something that I did for the first card, but it is definitely an option if you want to add some dimension on your sentiment. Now you will find that all the cards today are very simple to recreate. They take no time. I made sure that I did this in purpose, so if you are in need of some last minute cards to send out, then this is the video for you. You will end up with beautiful cards in no time. And of course, in a very simple card design like this one, you need to add some extra finishing touches to make it look more special, more finished. So I did add an extra star, green star from the booklet. I'm also adding 3 little pearls. And you can definitely add some white splatters if you like to. I feel like it always gives that look and feel of snow, and it kind of brings everything together on a Christmas card. Again, a very simple card, but the pattern paper does all the work for you. Now for the next card, I'm working on a red panel that's 4¼ by 5½, and I'm going to do a little bit of embossing. For that I chose one of the snowflakes from the stamp set, and I'm going to use my embossing ink. I'm going to stamp the snowflake on 3 different areas. Really randomly, I'm not making them aligned in any way. I want them to feel more organic, and that's why I made sure that some of those snowflakes go outside of the borders. I'm using a sparkling white embossing powder from my own collection with Stamperia. This is white, but it has glitter inside as well, which is going to be embedded in the design once I heat set with my heat gun. Then I did chop off 1/4 inch from the 2 sides, so this is slightly smaller than my standard card, and I'm sticking that on top of my card base. And then on top of that I'm going to play with one of the panels that I cut out in the beginning, the one paper pad that I cut out in 4. And then on top of that I'm going to use one of the layered frames. Now I absolutely love those layered frames. These are great not only to have things coming out of the window, but you can definitely turn them into a shaker card, a shaker element for the top of your cards, which I'm going to do in the next card. So for this one I'm just going to use it as it is. I did use foam tape at the back and just align it on top of another piece of pattern paper. Again, just because I'm using simple elements to add that extra dimension and interest, I do use foam tape, and then I stick everything on an angle just to give some movement on my project. Now for the sentiment, I'm going with one of those stickers again, which I'm going to stick at the bottom. And again for that I want dimension, that's why I'm using a very thin strip of foam tape so that I can pop it on top of my project. I think that those pattern papers, just because they have that patchwork look and feel, they really make a card without having to do lots of it, because the work is already done for you. And again, as always, you can add some splatters, you can use gems or pearls to embellish it a little bit more. And let's move on to the next card, and as I said previously, I'm going to turn one of those layered frames into a shaker element. So for that you need some acetate. Remember, we do have the packaging, make sure to use it, it's a great way to recycle. And I'm going to cut out a little piece and stick it at the back of my frame. For doing that I did use some double-sided tape. I'm just going to peel it off and stick the acetate on top. This way I create a little window. And of course you can use this idea to create even more of those shaker elements for your cards. You will find that there are many layered frames in that package. I'm only using a few of them for my 10 cards today, but you will have lots of them on hand. So I'm using unicorn confetti, I believe this is called, and you will find it linked down below. It is a product by SSS December. I love the sparkle, it is very thin and fine, and at the same time it looks like snow. I think it matches perfectly with the background, with that a red tree that I have on my background. Now again, that red tree is one of those little rectangles that I cut out from the first pattern paper, remember, in the beginning of the video. Now this second element goes on top of a green panel that's 4¼ by 5½. You can definitely add some splatters if you like to add that extra something. You can combine one of those sticker sentiments. You can use definitely foam tape at the back if you like, or just stick it as it is. I did add some golden splatters for this card, but you can definitely go with white. And let's move on to the next card. And again, I'm going to play and combine pattern papers. This is a beautiful pattern paper in the collection. I absolutely love the contrast of white snowflakes over the red. And then on top of that, I'm going to use one of those rectangles that we cut out in the beginning. I do have many of them. Remember when we cut out 2 pages, we ended up having 8 of them. So the Santa is going on an angle. If you want, you can definitely layer him at the center of the pattern paper. However, I am going to kind of create a cluster at the bottom using stickers and other elements that I have. I did use one of those labels, and I'm also going to add a little bit of a foam tape just to make sure that this is going to stay nice and leveled with the rest of the dimension. I'm also going to use a sentiment on top of that, since I did cover the sentiment that is underneath, but I did that because I wanted to create a cluster to add all those layers and to add some more interest at the bottom. I am also going to pick another sentiment that says Hello Santa Claus. I think it is adorable, and I'm just going to stick that there as well. This is the finishing touch for this card. Again, you can definitely use gems, you can add splatters if you like. I'm going to leave it as it is. And I absolutely love this card design, although it is really easy to put together. Now I'm going to show you a few ideas on the next few cards on how you can use pattern papers that have those big images that don't fit the dimensions of a standard card. So what I like to do is to grab my rectangle dies, place them on top of those images and just try to visualize which part of that big image would look lovely on top of my card. So I am going to use my paper trimmer and I'm going to cut out the image of the Santa. And of course you can definitely use the rectangle dies. I'm just trying to show you that even if you don't have those rectangle dies, you can definitely use your paper trimmer. Again, as I promised in the beginning of this video, I'm on a mission to use as much of that pattern paper included in the kit as possible. So I'm sticking that on top of my red panel. The red panel is 4¼ by 5½. The paper that I cut out is 4 by 5¼ so it is 1/4 of an inch smaller. That's why I got that red border. And you can definitely use foam tape if you like to add more dimension, or stick it completely flat like I did here. Now this is one of the pattern papers and I'm going to cut out a few of them. This is a great pattern paper to cut out elements like tickets and labels that you can then layer one on top of the other to create clusters to make your cards more interesting and to add dimension. So all I'm doing here is to layer all those labels that I cut out one on top of the other. They are not perfectly aligned. I make sure that they are kind of randomly stuck together. I don't even care what it reads. I just want to have the layers there. And if you want to make it even more dimensional, you can use foam tape in between those layers. So this is going to go at the bottom corner of my card, and it is a little cluster that adds dimension, interest on a very simple card, and that's where I'm going to stick my sentiment as well. So again, I'm bringing in the sticker booklet. I'm going to use one that says Wonder of Wonders and another one that says We Dreamed of Santa Claus. Now there is another pattern paper with these big images. Again, I'm going to use my rectangle die and you can rotate it. You can see how you like it to be. It can be a portrait image or it can be a landscape image. So here I cut out the part of the image that I want. Again, I'm placing it on top of my white card base. And you can see it already looks beautiful. Sometimes we just have to leave the pattern paper do the hard work for us, especially if we want to put together some really quick cards. And again, for this card, I'm showing you the exact same idea as the previous one. I am repeating the same technique so you can see that with different pattern papers, you can recreate with the same design more cards. And you can do that with the other pattern papers that have big images as well. So again, I did cut out some of those labels and I'm going to create a little cluster on one corner of the card. This add dimension, it adds interest and it turns a very simple flat card into something more special. Now this is a leftover from one of the previous cards, so I'm going to stick that down. I love the contrast of the black and that frame on top of it, along with the red at the background. So again, I have a panel that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, the red panel, and I'm going to build everything on top of that, and then all I have to do is to just stick it, all of it, on top of a pre-folded card. Now for the layered frame, I'm going to use some foam tape. I'm not going to turn this into a shaker card, although you can definitely do that. However, for this design, I'm just going to use it as a window, but I need the dimension, that's why I'm using foam tape at the back. Again, I'm giving some movement on my design by sticking the layers on an angle. You can definitely layer them one on top of the other and have everything perfectly aligned at the center, but trust me, sometimes it really looks better when it is kind of random. Now for this card, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use a snowflake that was not included in the kit. I just used one of my snowflake dies to cut it out. I'm sure you all have at least one snowflake die in your stash. If you don't, you can definitely stamp one from the included stamp set and just cut it out. I did use the pattern paper that you see on the screen to cut out the snowflake, just to make sure that all the colors match beautifully together. So the idea here is to just add something interesting inside that window. I did tag the snowflake, but you can definitely go with poinsettias if you have. You can add some foliage coming out from that corner. Everything works really. And then on top of that, just stick one of the sentiments. Now this one is my favorite design of all the 10 cards that I made today. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below and let me know which one is your favorite of all the 10 cards. I always have so much fun reading the comments on which one is your favorite. So now again, I'm working with one of those big pattern papers with lots of designs. I made sure that I cut it out in such a way so that I have a corner with a cluster on one side. That's where I am able to build up even more things on top, like the sentiment, etc. So for this design, you can recreate one of those little clusters with the tags and the labels that you can cut out. However, I'm going really simple with this one. I did use one of the sticker strips on one side, and I made sure that it matches the colors and it gives some contrast. And then on top of that, I'm going to add a very thin strip of golden cardstock just to add that extra shine. And up to now, I'm just combining pattern papers and stickers, while at the same time I'm keeping everything flat. However, I do have some dimension from sticking that pattern paper on top of my green panel. You can use any of the sticker sentiments on top and you're good to go. I did go with a black one just to match the black notes at the background. I'm also going to add some golden dots by using my contour liner, but you can definitely use any other gems or pearls that you have. And of course, in the kit, don't forget that you get this big die of sentiment that says holiday cheer. Now this is perfect to use pattern paper that you don't know what to do with it. I always say that big dies are a great stash buster because you can use any busy pattern paper by just recreating the same card again and again. I'm going to show you which one design this is. So just cut out the panel to be slightly smaller than your standard card, like a 1/4 of an inch smaller. Then use the outline die to cut out a window at the center. And then you need a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 cardstock panel. So you see here I'm using foam tape at the back and I'm going to stick one on top of the other. You need to make sure that if your pattern paper is very busy, the background is solid color. This is going to help the sentiment stand out even more. I have already cut out my sentiment using golden cardstock and I'm going to stick it at the center. I did use very thin strips of foam tape at the back, but if you want to make this type of cards quicker, to create a set for example, you can just use glue and place them inside. And of course it doesn't get any easier than that, but it is a great design to just use that busy pattern paper that you have. So that was card number 10 for today, and I'm also adding the rest of the photos here of all the cards that I made. Don't forget, down below the description you can find links to everything I use, not only as a kit but also separately if you want to grab something. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope that you had fun, that you got inspired, and I'll see you all next time.